guys, Chris here for Card Player TV, and I'm joined by Matt Hawrilenko. He won the last bracelet before the main event, the 5K shorthanded event. Matt, tell me how the event started for you. What was day one like?
Well, day one was great. First of all, I was expecting like 300 something players in a super tough field, and like, I just saw the ticker climbing to over 900. I'm like, wow, this is gonna be good. So my first table was actually pretty good, pretty soft. So of course I immediately took my 15,000 starting stack down to 5,000 before things started to improve a bit, and just kind of made a few plays and made a few hands, and climbed my chips a bit. So.
Well, how did you end day one going into day two?
God, I don't even remember. Well, out of everyone, there were 3 of us in my house who made it to day 2, and I was definitely like the lowest in chips. I had like.
Who else is in your house?
Okay, so Bill Chen is in my house. Double bracelet winner a few years ago. Our friend Kenny Shea was also in the house. Gavin Griffin's in the house, but he didn't make it to day 2.
Oh, okay.
Jared Ankman, who won a bracelet this year, is in the house. So it's been a good year for our house.
Definitely. And you've made 2 final tables before this, right?
Yeah, a total of 3. Yeah, so no, it's been a great series for me, much better than the last 2, which we won't talk about, I hope. But
well, you're mostly a cash game player. Maybe the first 2 years, were you adjusting to playing tournament style?
I mean, I definitely think I'm a better tournament player than I was a year or 2 ago, but not as much as the results would indicate, right? Like, I was talking to my parents on the phone, and they're great. Like, my mom plays online, and I put her in the ladies event this year.
Oh yeah, how'd you do?
Actually, it's really cool. So, she didn't play a hand for like an hour and a half, right? So she flops a set of 4s, and she gets all in on the turn against a set of queens. The very first hand she plays, like an hour and a half into the tournament, and she spikes the 4.
Oh,
like, Mom, that's awesome. Like, I've never done that. You don't understand, like, how
You've never
great
won
that
out
is
someone?
with 1 card to come, right?
Okay.
Like, wow. But no, I've won out people all the time.
So how'd you do after that?
Oh, she made it past the dinner break, and
fun.
eventually busted. But yeah, she had a great time, and like it was really cool to be able to show my parents Vegas.
So they understand the whole poker thing, and they're cool with you being a poker professional.
Well, yeah. When I quit my job to play online, my mom's response actually was, "Well, finally." And,
what was your job before?
I was an options trader, actually at Susquehanna International Group, where Bill Chen currently works. I worked with Bill. But yeah, they're really cool, and my mom started playing $1 sit and goes to try to understand it better. So I mean, my parents are great; they're so supportive of it.
Absolutely. So when you made the final table, were they all there to support you?
They were not there. No, they were off vacationing somewhere. But my mom was checking my Twitter and checking the updates online constantly. So I get this like 3 a.m. voicemail or whatever from them, and they were super excited.
At the final table, this is your 3rd final table this year, and you had yet to capture a bracelet.
Yeah.
Was there a bit of pressure on you?
Yeah, like, I mean, it's funny, right? Like, normally I'd say about tournaments, like, oh, bracelets, like, whatever, like, yeah, you have to play well, but you also have to get really lucky, and like, whatever happens, happens. It's not a big deal, but it was a big deal to me. Like, I really wanted a bracelet. Like, most of the other guys in the house have one, and I'm like, ugh, I don't want to be the guy that comes to the World Series every year and min cashes for like $4 a few times and, goes home and is like, oh, maybe next year. So, yeah, I mean, it was a pretty big prize pool, so it was a good tournament to win. And it was just like, I was so relieved once I got the bracelet. Like, that was probably the first feeling, like overwhelming relief. And then like, oh, and there's money. That's great. I mean, it's not about the bracelet. Like, it's about the money, but it's a big deal.
Yeah, for sure. Was there a big hand or any turning point in the final table where it really got in your head that you could win this thing?
I mean, I tried to block that out because I think it would make me play worse. But I guess probably the biggest turning point at the final table is pretty obvious. Like, I had Jaka on my left, Jaka Faraz, and he's a super tough player, super aggressive. He's not the guy you want to have on your left. Like, and I thought he was probably the toughest player at the final table, so I just kept hoping I could get it in as a coin flip against him and then luck my way through it. And eventually, I did get to flip with him for, a bunch of chips with ace king versus queens, and I spiked the ace on the flop, and that gave me a big chip lead going into heads up, and so it's actually at the final table, like I actually thought throughout the tournament I had a bunch of like interesting hands and tough decisions, and some were right, some maybe not, I still don't know. But the final table, my hands all kind of play themselves, like I had ace king or jacks, and it's like easy enough to play 6-handed. So
Is that a common thing among really good players? If you have a really tough player to your left, a lot of times when you play the field, you're trying to lower your variance and play very small pots, but if you've got tough players, you're just going to have to get in there and gamble with them?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, certainly in tough cash games, right? Like, you have to get your money in, you have to gamble, and, like, I'm not one of these guys that says, oh, I'll pass up a small edge now for a bigger edge later. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, the small edges are big edges, mm-hmm. you know, and like, I'm pretty much never going to pass up the chance to flip or whatever if there's an overlay in the pot. Okay. But I mean, against tough players, like, often they're playing an aggressive style, so they're like, you know, they're re-raising you a lot more and a lot wider. So to play well against them, you have to gamble it up against them. Mm-hmm. Whereas some weaker players, maybe they'll play a bit tighter, a bit more passively, a bit more predictably. So you just don't get in spots to gamble with, like, to flip with them as easily because of the way they play.
All right. Well, congratulations on your bracelet.
Thank you.
Now it's main event time. How did your day one go?
Day one started off a bit shaky. You know, it finished well. I finished with 67,000. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were a couple hands I kind of wish I had back. One particular one that got misreported online to make it look even worse than it was.
Oh, really? Well, tell me about it. We can set the record straight.
Yeah, okay. I'll tell you two hands. So, first one, a guy opens 2 off the button for 600 in the 100-200 level, and I'm on the button with the 7 of diamonds, 4 of spades. Okay. So of course I make it 1800, and now the big blind shoves for 4,000 total. The first guy folds. I'm like, oh man, okay, this sucks. I call, and he shows queens, and I make a straight, and he fills up, but whatever. That one was reported online as me making it 600, and him shoving for 4,000, and me snap calling with 7-4.
Oh,
that did not happen. That did not happen. But
right, because you were priced in after you re-raised.
Yeah,
so, and
yeah,
it didn't,
yeah. Okay. So it's, you know, like you make one move, and you know, but
Okay, so that was early.
Yeah, but the nice thing about making that move is like no matter how many times you show aces or kings all in, like, if you just show that 7-4 once, like, that's the image that's burned in everyone's head. So I don't mind, like, it cost me a couple dozen chips, but hopefully it paid off later. Yeah, and then I got moved to a new table, which was pretty, seemed like a pretty good spot to be a little bit later. And the first thing I heard when I got moved to the table was that 8 minutes before the last break, someone said to the dealer, so what would happen if we all just left right now to beat the bathroom rush? You know, the dealer was like, well, I'm sure someone would stick around in that deal and they'd just get all the antes and blinds.
Yeah.
They all left. 8 minutes before the break. Whole table leaves.
What?
Yeah. So they just took an extended break. And
so what happened? Did you decide to leave too?
No, I wasn't there at that point.
Oh,
like I hear about this like when I got moved to the table after the break.
Oh, okay.
And so apparently,
after the break.
yeah, the floor came over and gave him a stern talking to, and it won't happen again. But like, wow, okay, this seems like a place I want to be. And then it was pretty soft, and I did wear the bracelet for intimidation purposes. So I don't know if that worked, but it was a place I wanted to be. So everyone was playing pretty tight, and there were like a couple really funny hands. But then, so at the very end of the night, when they announce, we're playing 3 more hands, like everyone at my table had been kind of playing really slow and farming since like I got moved there 5 hours ago, like hoping to make it to day 2, just because everyone's really happy to be there. It's a main event, it's a big deal. So I was just raising like every hand. So I was like second to act, and I opened with 10-9 offsuit. And now like the tightest guy at the table, min re-raises me. We both have like a little over 30,000 at this point. He min re-raises me, and just the first thought that goes through my head is like, wow, I'm gonna be able to ruin somebody's day right now. Because he has aces. That is the only hand he has, right? So he min re-raises, and I call, and I flop the straight draw, and he bets a little, and I call, and I turn the straight. So I check raise him all in, and he snap calls. I'm like, wow, I guess he has a set, and I need the board not to pair. But no, it's the aces, and
he had the aces.
He had the aces. So
drawing dead.
Yeah, drawing dead, and it was a pretty good spot for me. And like he was the nicest guy like all day long, and like came over, oh, can I see your bracelet? But like when he saw my hand, like just the curses that came out of that guy's mouth after he punched the table were like, wow. But I mean, people get fired up. $10,000 is a lot of money to play for, so you can't blame them. What happens happens.
Did you check raise him for a ton on the turn?
Well, I checked and he overbet the pot on the turn, and I check raised him for like a little under 3 times that. So. Yeah.
So basically, you ruined someone's life, and then now you're on to day 2.
Yeah, day 2 it is, and that can be a little footnote. And hopefully a little footnote in my main event.
All right, well, congratulations on your bracelet, and we'll follow you on day 2.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Chris Arnett with Matt Hawrilenko for Card Fairy TV.